Hello, this is Eric with Pireboom, and today we're going to talk about the 12-inch HDPE DR11 tube. And what we have here is we have a tube that's all set, and we want to talk about some features about this thing so you know what you're getting when you buy one of these, and just some couple of features about it. Now, one of the things you might see thrown around is ID and OD. And ID is simply stands for the inner diameter, so that is the inside width, the diameter of the inside, which is 1.91 inches. And a lot of your consumer shells are right around, they might see 1.75 or 1 3/4 inch. Some of them might be a little bit thicker than that, but the 1.91, that's the width of the inner of the tube. Right here. And then the OD, obviously you probably figured out already, stands for outer diameter. And in this particular case, it's actually 2.4 inches. So you could say 2.5, which is pretty close. So just to review again, we have an HDPE DR11 ID of 1.91 and the outer diameter 2.4. And this is the most common size mortar tube, 12 inches long. And then the ID, this is the most common one. So if you ever have a question, it's like, man, I don't know which one to buy. Which should I buy? Should I buy like a real 2-inch? Should I buy, sometimes you might see the DR9. If you just want to play it safe and buy the most universal, most compatible one with consumer shells, you're going to want to buy the DR11. Now, you're probably thinking, what in the world is HDPE and DR11? What are you talking about? Well, the DR11 is just a term. DR11 stands for dimension ratio. Sometimes you might see SDR, which is standard dimension ratio. It's just a term indicating the width of the when I say the width of the thickness of the tube. Okay, so DR9, the smaller number, it's going to be a little bit thicker tube, not a lot thicker. But this DR11 is your most common one. So an HDPE stands for, and some people, I always had trouble saying it, but HDPE is the material that it's made out of, which is a real pliable plastic. And I think of the best example, if you look on the bottom of a shampoo bottle, next time you're maybe even taking a shower, or even body wash, and it's not on all of them, but it sure is on a lot of them. If you look on the bottom, you actually see those 4 letters, HDPE. And if you notice, that material is really pliable. And that's what's great about HDPE. It's durable, but yet it's pliable, and that's really what you want to use for fireworks. And we'll do another video, and you can watch the one on PVC versus HDPE. You want to check that out. We'll have that posted up for you to check out. HDPE stands for high density polyethylene. Okay, that's what it stands for, but we just like to call it HDPE around here. And of course, going back to the PVC, you don't want to use PVC because it's brittle. Just want to stick to the HDPE. And again, you can watch the video on that. We'll have posted, and we'll do some demonstrations for you on HDPE versus PVC and why you shouldn't use that. Some people ask, why in the world would I want to have my plugged tube? Well, the tube needs to be plugged because think about it, you're going to drop a firework inside this tube, and if you don't have it plugged on the bottom, and it's going to be sitting there, you're going to have all that release of the air, that lift charge coming out. You really want to have it on something solid, and that's why we have all of our tubes plugged. It just kind of makes sense, just from a common sense, hopefully, on that. But certainly we can understand sometimes why you kind of think, why in the world do I need to plug? Just obviously you want to be safe, so that's why we plug them. And we already have this one plugged. We not only do we plug it, and it's real firm sitting in there, we actually staple it 4 times. And here's one of our plugs that we would put inside. It's actually, the height of the plug is 1.5 inches, so nice thick stock in there, and it's just made out of southern yellow pine, nice bevel, so it makes it real easy to go in. And we also have a video on how to insert these. If you want to know how to do that, you can check that out on our YouTube page and on our Pireboom page as well. Now, on the staples, we use galvanized staples, and galvanized simply means to prevent rust, and it's just a zinc coating on the staple itself, so it makes it rust resistant, and that's great because you don't want to leave these outside in the winter. They will pipe in and of itself. Actually, when you buy these, they're actually most of the pipes I've ever seen is actually stored outside, but it's okay for the plastic to store outside. But when you get this wood in here, you don't want to store your racks and your tubes outside. Just a little tip there: keep your mortars inside where it's nice and dry, cold weather obviously is not a big deal, but so that's what you got in regards to your plug. Now, what we have is talking about some other things that people ask or had comments about is the shavings. And if you notice, it's probably can't tell in the video, but you have these, and I'll pull some off so you can see it. You have these, what people they would call them shavings and stuff. We buy our pipe in 40-foot lengths, and we cut them to 12-foot for you. And the machine that we have to cut them does create some debris, and yeah, it's kind of an eyesore a little bit, but it's not going to affect this shell coming out. As a matter of fact, I've seen shells before where they, I think it was on a 3-inch shell, but pretty much same concept. These things are coming out, and there's not going to, if it's going in, it's coming out. We've seen it where it actually shot through a 3-inch shot through. I believe it was like a 1/2-inch OSB, and it created a perfect hole on that OSB, that wood. So these things are going to come out with some serious velocity. So the shavings, yeah, they're a little bit of a hassle, but we do that to keep the cost low. Our machine's real effective. It cuts them quick, and some shavings there. But don't, that's not, certainly nothing going to prevent your shell from coming out. And just so you know, the weight of these things, of these tubes, is just almost a pound. We would say about 0.8. So, I guess right close to a pound. So what are we doing? About 14 ounces or something like that. Pretty close to there. So give you an idea of how much they weigh. Now, when you buy one of these, you can't just stick this inside, stick it like this and say, okay, there it is, and I'm going to drop a shell. I'm going to drop a shell in the top of it. I'm just going to sit this down and light it. No. So when you buy one of these, probably the most obvious, you probably figured it out, is you want to have a rack. So let me pull one up here. This is one of our 6-shot racks, and the camera is a little bit not set to wide enough angle, but it's a 6-shot rack. Let me see if I can adjust the camera here. Okay, so what we're talking about is the tube here, and again, we have the plug tube, and what we want to do is, obviously, you don't want to have the tube sitting just free standing on the ground. You want to have a rack to put it in. So what you want to do is just take the tube, and you can build or buy one of these racks. They're pretty easy to make, or you can buy one of these if you don't want to mess with making one, and you just want to put your tubes inside of a rack. So there you go. So thanks a lot for watching the video on the standard DR11 tube.